So basic arm bars from this position, okay, as soon as you feel or see the opponent putting his hand down on the mat, okay, a basic arm bar looks like such. The way this works is you take your hand, sneak it under here, and cup your hand. As soon as you can see these 4 fingers, okay, you know you can get the arm. If you can't see your fingers, if his arm's a little bit far out there, you can't see these, then you're not going to get it. So from here, you cup it, all right? And then from here, you're going to pull it out to your chin here. The most important part here is that you're going to switch your hips and scoot your hips way out. If you don't change your hips, if you try just to go from here to here, it's not going to work. Okay, you're here, up, switch your hips, apply pressure with your knee to the back of his elbow. Okay, a slightly different angle. Okay, watch my hips. I come underneath. Now I push my hips out this way, so I create that space. Once I get underneath, then I'm going to switch my hips the other way. Okay, so that rocking motion is really what slams his head to the mat. And then once his head's to the mat, you use your knee and your arms and just pull him tight right here. What I'd like to show now is a couple turnovers and arm bars from this position. Basically, what you want to do is you want to keep your opponent locked in with your 2 knees here, okay? And you want to have your left hand over his right arm, okay? And what you want to do is you want to pull him in tight, and you wait and pull his head down, and wait for the moment that he picks his head up. When he picks his head up this way, you're going to slip this arm underneath and come in for the arm bar. Let me do it fast, and then we'll break it down. The key to getting this is balance, breaking his balance. Okay, you have to pull his body up onto yours. Okay, if he's sitting back and he's far away and there's space, it's not going to work. So you have to eliminate that space by scooting your hips in close. Okay, and the way we do that is we just crawl like a crab on the ground. Okay, later we'll go over some exercises to help you do that motion. Okay, from here, right, top over the hand grip. This arm here is going to come and sneak underneath his leg. Okay, let's look at that. You're here, going to come underneath. At the same time, your hips are going to shift, right, and spin on the mat here, right? Once you feel that once you can see your foot, or you feel that he's on top of you, okay, you bring this leg over and push up. Kick back with this leg, using guitar. Okay, again, the key points are, number 1, if he starts to scoot away from you, right, you got to keep pulling tight. Okay? This hand comes over the top, sneak in here. Okay? As he lifts up to get out, you go over with your foot, come down hard with your heel. This way, into the arm bar. Okay, the next variation of this move is if he knows you're going to come in for the arm bar, right? So he keeps this tucked in really tight and he keeps his head down, right? Because he knows as soon as you start coming up, you give him space to get that leg over the top. Okay, so he keeps his head in the chest. So this creates a great time to just roll him over into a pin. And the way you do that is you shift your hips a little bit away from him and come up and grab the belt tight. Now what we're going to do is we're going to shift our hips down and pull him on top, straight on top of us. Okay? So that creates all his balances on top of me. He's basically off balance. And then from here I'm just going to roll him over into osaikomi or into a pin. Okay, let's look at that again. I go, make Sam work for this arm bar. He buries his head here. Okay, what I do is I reach up, use his armpit or his bicep, tricep to pull yourself up and get a deeper grip here. Once I have this grip, then I want to pull him straight forward, right? Don't try to come from here to the side, you can't. Pull him straight forward till he's up on top of you, and then just roll him over. Let's look at a quick top of us, okay? So that creates all his balances on top of me. He's basically off balance. And then from here, I'm just going to roll him over into osaikomi or into a pin. Okay, let's look at that again. I go, say I'm working for this armbar, he buries his head here. Okay, what I do is I reach up, use his armpit or his bicep, tricep to pull yourself up and get a deeper grip here. Once I have this grip, then I want to pull him straight forward, right? Don't try to come from here to the side, you can't. Pull him straight forward until he's up on top of you, and then just roll him over. Let's look at a quick, effective way to get a quick choke from this position here. As I have the cross lapel, okay, this time I'm not going to grab so high, I'm going to grab a little bit low here, okay? This works effectively as an opponent who's got his head down and he's trying to work around this side, okay? So as he's trying to come around this side here, I'm going to, from this point on, I'm going to push his head down and slip my hand underneath here for the choke. Okay? Again, he's down on this elbow. She's got his head very close to me, right? So he's trying to work around this one leg, right? But I won't let him because this is up in the air, okay? Maybe I let him work a little bit so he feels like he's up. And just as he's about to pass that leg, I come here and put the choke. Okay? My 4 fingers are inside. My thumb is on the outside. Leave yourself a little bit of slack. Okay? Push his head straight down, and you want to rotate underneath his chin this way, and then come across for the choke. Okay, I'd like to get into a few strategies of how to get past your opponent's legs, because this is a very important part of pinning, choking, or arm barring. The way we're going to work this is we're going to start out from this position because it's more practical. After I throw the person, okay, I'm not going to end up in this position right away. Okay, normally I'll end up in this attacking position before he wraps his legs around me. So basically what I want to do from here is keep my head up and my stomach up so I can see what he's doing. As soon as I drop my head and try to go below, he can basically come over the top, right, or choke, or do anything he wants. So I always want to be looking at my opponent, keeping my hands up, okay, just in case he tries to come up and grab my lapel or something. So from this position here, I want to keep my elbow, kind of dig it into his knee right here, okay. I'm going to push this leg down, and I'm going to slide my right knee on top of it, okay. This kind of pins this leg. Next, I'm going to roll on top and figure 4 this right here. Okay. This basically controls my opponent right here and allows me some time to get up to control the head. Because ultimately what I want to do is I want to control the head. So if he goes to try to get out this way, I've got him tight. If he tries to go this way, I've still got him controlled. Next is I need to get past his defense here. If I try to go over the top here, okay, I'm going to raise my hips. It's no good. I need that to keep the basics of newaza. I need to eliminate all space in here. So I'm going to try to come underneath here to fight. I fight my through here. Reach around, grab his neck, okay, and just grab the collar of this right here. Okay, I have this option, or I can reach and grab the back of his gear. Even a tighter option. Okay, now that leaves me with one more thing to do. I've got to get my leg out, right? Because if he holds on to this leg, then I can't hit him. The way to get the leg out is pull it by the hip first. Okay, so I'm going to stretch my hip forward, extending my leg, pointing my toes, right, all the way until he has over my ankle. Okay, before I do this, if he got me above the knee, I have to walk my foot up, walk it up, use my elbow, push it down. So now he's only got control of my ankle, which is much smaller than control of my thigh. So now I have a little bit of leeway here. Plus it allows me to extend my hips forward here. Okay, so my leg is a little straight here. My toes are pointed. Next I'm going to push against his knee here, underhook, and set the legs into a pin. Okay, one more time from the top. Okay, as I'm approaching my opponent, okay, lead with my shoulder, push down here, slip my knee over top, figure 4, squeeze my knees together so he can't move. Next I'm going to work underneath, fight through his guard, gain control of the head, right? Here. When I'm in this position, I don't want my elbow out here, because if my elbow's here, he's going to bridge up, right? It allows him to bridge up and turn over. Okay, so it's very important that my elbow controls his head here, right? You want this separation. You want to keep his head, instead of being here, you want it to be over here. Okay, and this stops him from bridging. Okay, and it keeps him a lot of pressure on him. Okay, next. From this point, again, walk my foot up. Okay? Look at it, walk. Push it down to my ankle, this way. Okay, next move is I'm going to extend my hips. Right? But I don't want to pick up my hips. The worst thing I could do now is go like this, because that creates space and he's just going to roll you over. Okay? You want to leave your hips all on the mat. Slide them up. Put a lot of pressure on his ear, on his head. Okay, so his body can't turn into me. Use my other foot. Extend, point my toe this way. First thing I want to do is bring this leg back as quick as possible. Because he's going to be, as soon as he lets that leg go, he's going to be coming back. So I need this to post him. And then I switch my hips right into the pin. I'd like to demonstrate important key drills that we use during every practice to enhance our newaza or grappling skills. This is very important because it's basic fundamental movements of the body. Just like swinging a bat or swinging a tennis racket. This is something you need to do every day to increase the speed and the timing and the technique. So the first one I'm going to start out with is called ebi. Ebi means shrimp in Japanese. And the reason they call it this is because the motion is just like a shrimp. First I'll do the motion, then I'll break it down. Okay, basically what's happening is I'm creating this power by pushing off, okay, pushing my hip up and my opponent away. So I want to extend my legs, push my opponent away. If he starts to come the other side, again, hip up, push my hip up, back, push away. Again, back, always trying to keep my hip off the mat. Okay, that's what creates the speed of the technique. Now let's look at a live application of how this really works. Rio is going to attack me from this position here. Okay, he's trying to get around my leg. So what I want to do is I want to stay tucked in a shrimp motion, right, or look like a shrimp. As he comes around, okay, I'm going to switch my hip, constantly keeping this space. Okay, let's look at it from the middle. He comes in. Okay, just create that space And the space is what the bottom guy wants, so the top guy doesn't pin him or choke him or out him. So this is very important. We need to practice every day in the classroom. Okay, the next exercise is going to be the reverse shrimp or reverse motion of what we just did. In slow motion, basically what I'm doing is I'm reaching out with both heels, again, keeping my hip off the mat, pushing my opponent away from me. Okay? Other side, push, push, push. It's important that your hips come off the mat. Okay, if I just try to do it this way, it's not going to be effective. Okay, I have to explode out. Okay, to get my hips completely off the mat. In a live application, what really happens is if you're being pinned, okay, this way, here, your basic escape, okay, is the same motion. Here. Okay? So that's the reason why we practice this. It's not just to clean up the mat. Okay? So you're here. Again, you're going to dig down deep, explode out, push out until you escape from the pin. But this next technique is basically what we pull across the mat. Okay, the reason we do this exercise is to practice the balance of the hips to the mat and also the posture and the position of an osaikomi or a pin. Okay, so I'm pretending that I'm pinning an opponent with a yoko shiogatami, which is a four-corner hold technique. Okay, and the way you tighten up a pin is by bringing your chin and your chest up and pulling him in tight. Now it's important that you don't do this, right? Because as soon as you go past this point where this arm, your bicep is parallel here, okay? You don't want to go too far past, and you don't want to be out here. You want to be perfectly balanced here. As soon as you go past this point, your hips come off the mat, right? All right? And when your hips come off the mat, that creates space. And when you create space, your opponent escapes. So let's look at this in a live application. If I were to pin Rio, okay, in the basic four corners hold here, what I want is I want my hips completely down on the mat, here. Not up here, but down. I want to have that same posture, head up, okay, head up here, and notice now that I'm pretty tight. My toes are digging into the mat, my feet are spread apart, so if he goes to escape, okay, it's a nice tight hold. Now if I was to move a little bit forward, this way, that picks up my hips, creates space, and allows Rio to escape. So you have to maintain this position here every time you pull across the mat. A variation to that last technique of pulling across the mat, that's very important to practice. As you're pulling across the mat, we're going to switch our hips. Okay, the reason we do this is because when you're pinning an opponent, right, a lot of times if his weight comes this way, you have to get this leg back. Right, so basically you're just adjusting your weight. But it's important that you keep your head straight. Because if I do this, right, this is the incorrect. Because if I do this, the opponent's going to turn me right over, right? So I have to maintain this posture here. Let's look at Rio as I pin him. Okay, I'm here. If he starts to kick into me, come into me, sometimes I might have to reverse and switch my hips. This gives me more power. If he starts to go away, switch here, switch here, switch here. Okay? You've got to be able to always switch your hips and always float with the opponent. Just like a sack of rice that's laying on top, it just moves with the opponent as he tries to escape. Okay, now I'd like to demonstrate some static motions where your body's not really moving, you stay in the same place, but it's very important when you're in this position, on the bottom position, opponent's attacking. You need to use your arms, but also you need to use your legs as other other hands. Okay, so one motion is your knees are loose, okay, and basically you're just drawing circles with your toes in opposite directions. Switch, switch, switch. Okay? What this does is it creates that flexibility in your hips and in your knees. So as your opponent's attacking you, this position here, right, you have that flexibility. You can use your hands, your arms, your feet to defend against your opponent, right? Before he even grabs me, I can push him away with my foot, right? And then I reverse, circle around. He goes again, and I circle again. Okay? So create that flexibility and the hip movement that is needed, very important in Judo. Okay, my next exercise is reverse bicycles. Again, you're in this position. The stomach is probably the strongest part in your body, okay, for Judo. You have to have a developed stomach. You've got to be strong, especially when you're fighting an opponent in this position, right? You got to be able to keep your head up, your shoulders up, and that's all stems from the stomach. So reverse bicycles, instead of just like riding a bike, it could go in reverse this way. And each time you come out, you're kicking with your heel, and you're bringing your knee to your chest. So let's watch this exercise. Okay, notice that I don't stay on my back, because as I was saying before, when you're on your back, your opponent is balanced. When you're on your side, your opponent is off. You keep off balance. So I want to basically go side to side. Okay, bringing my knees to my chest, extending, kicking out this way. As such. Now, when your opponent's coming in to attack you, the reason we do this, right, is because this motion here is very important. Okay? It's important whether it's this side, right, or switching hips, kicking out this way. It basically breaks your opponent's balance and enables you, right, to flip them over. Right, the last exercise is a tough one, and first time my Newaza sensei Zando taught me this, it was very difficult to do. I couldn't even move a foot. But basically what you want to do is just by switching your hips, okay, you want to move your body across the mat without using your arms. So it basically goes like this. One more time. Okay, without using your hands or your arms, you're going to shift your weight by kicking this down. And it looks easy, but it's very difficult to do. Basically, the reason you do this is you have an opponent here, and you want to scoop your hips underneath him, right? This allows you to scoop your hips underneath, right, and to apply different techniques. Now, all these exercises that I just showed you are made to be used every single time you enter the dojo, whether it's used to warm up or whether it's used to warm down. Warm up is usually a better opportunity to use these techniques. What you can do is create a circuit where you can do pull across the mat, maybe once or twice, flip over, do reverse ebi this way, right? Flip over. My Juji Gatami series. The reason I like this is because in international competition, the referees don't allow you much time on the ground, and you need a move that's quick and effective as soon as your opponent hits the ground. Now, of course, in judo, the ultimate is a ippon or a technical knockout. This would basically end the match. But a lot of times, your opponent doesn't go all the way over, and he'll land on his stomach. This is the time to hit this particular move. Okay, now I'd like to break this movement, or the Juji Gatami series, down. Initially, when the opponent hits the mat, the first thing you have to do is create this pressure, okay, right here. But you do that by squeezing your knees together. Okay. Secondly, is you want to take your forearm and immediately push down his head, okay? Using all your weight, everything goes right into your elbow, right into the back of his head. Okay, this will stop your opponent as he tries to get up. Okay, this going in on top of the head. Also, you're coming in here, and you're grabbing the wrist here, okay? Or even better would be the pinky finger right here. It's illegal to grab any fingers in judo, but if you grab the whole hand, it's okay. Okay? So this is what you want. Okay, and once you have your opponent in this position, okay, he knows that hey, you're going to go for an armbar. So as he tries to get up, that's the time that your leg is going to come in. Okay, and now you're going to really push down on his head. You're going to post your head on the mat. Okay, keeping this pressure on his head. The next thing, most important, is you're going to transfer the weight from your elbow to your knee, right on top of his head. Okay, and his head away. Okay, so you want to create this separation from his shoulder and his head. This creates a lot of pain, and this is what he's going to be thinking about, this pain. So that's why this move works. Okay, so you want to keep this pressure here. Okay. Next, you want to pull down your own lapel. Okay, pull down your own lapel and grab your lapel. Now what I'm doing is I'm pushing his head and I'm pulling his arm, separating it in different directions. Again, creating this pain. Reach out and pull his hip to the mat. Make his hip touch the mat. At that time, right, he's going to pop his head up. Okay. Then we roll him over. Okay. As you roll, you want to make sure that your knee is a little bit bent. So you want to catch his chin right in between, right at the back of your knee here. Okay, keep this pressure down so he can't come up. Okay, this is the basic Juji Gatami position. Later we'll discuss how to break this arm and how to control pin or armbar or choke.